Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I love seeing the comments already. My favorite part of that new intro is the one where James goes, all the time, because we get that out of James Marilat quite often. Right? Oh my God. James, you and Will Peterson yesterday too, I must say. Excellent discussion. Not argument, just discussion.
It's difficult when Scrappy Will is so wrong, but I love him anyways. But it's always fun to have that sort of banter. Rachel, how are you on the beginning of summer after this weekend, right?
I know, I can't believe it. I'm good. I feel like I'm in a very summery spring outfit today. I'm excited for the long weekend and
nice.
Kind of getting ready before the NBA finals kick off next week.
What's the one thing you definitely have to do in the summer to make it a summer? Like, what's the thing? Like, I gotta make sure I do this at least one time in the summer.
That's a great question, because I don't think I've consistently done something like every single summer. I guess going to the pool at least once. In my neighborhood, though, we don't have a pool, so that's kind of a bummer. But probably paddleboarding now, since I got my paddleboard like 2 Christmases ago. Like, that's become kind of my okay, let's get out there, let's go paddleboard, take the dog out there, and try not to get too sunburned. What about you?
I want to, every summer while I'm in Colorado, climb at least one 14er, if not 2. And I want to, if I'm lucky enough, be able to stick my toes in the sand on a beach by an ocean. So
I feel like the beach thing has become my winter must do. I need an escape, and I have to go during the winter to the beach at least once, I feel like.
Yeah, and I've the craziest place that I've done that in is the Gulf of Mexico. And not that I've Atlantic Pacific, Gulf of Mexico, but my son was playing for a summer team in Corpus Christi, and that was such a really, really fun, different, I'll probably never do it again vacation. Yeah. And so every summer it's like, well, what's something a little bit new? But you want to get I want to get to the mountains and up on a mountain at some point. And I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm not trying to do all 54 14ers. It's nothing like that. It's just a moment of finding my Colorado zen, and I find it at the top of a 14er where hopefully I don't feel like I'm going to die. So I've already done a couple of these where I did think I was going to die, and I'm not looking for that adventure.
I need your advice, because I would love to do a 14er, would love to do it, but I am not somebody who can wake up in the morning and work out. My blood sugar drops super low, and then I feel super sick. So what advice would you give me? Because I would love to, but there's no way my body's going to say, hey, a 4 a.m. wake up call and let's go hike a couple miles. Let's go.
So you don't want, well, there are a couple you could do during a day. I mean, you do got to wake up and do that, but the easiest one to do, I'll just give you the easiest one and see if you have a taste for it, and you can work it into a fun weekend. The easiest one to do, in my opinion, to avoid what you're talking about, is Mount Quandre in Breckenridge, because you can just get a hotel room in Breckenridge. I'm telling you, it is right down the road. So you would not have to start hiking at 4 o'clock in the morning. You could start by 8 a.m. And if you stay in Breck, I mean, it's seriously right there. Other than that, the alarm does go off pretty early for the vast majority of them, Rach. But if you've never done one before, I know Grays and Torreys are very close. But again, by your standard, you got to get up a little early to get to those. They're the closest to where we live. So you could wake up at 6, 7 a.m. and probably be fine. But Quandre, you get to have a little gug in the town of Breckenridge afterwards. So, party on, Wayne, party on, Garth. But from there, Rachel, I'll give everybody another great one. Go to the town of Alma to Kite Lake, and there's 4 Democrat, Lincoln, Bross, and Cameron that are all linked together. And there's a wide variety to do those. And it's one of the most beautiful spots in Colorado that's easy to get to, relatively easy to get to. So that's your starter kit. But if you want to get a little more complicated or a little bit more dangerous, come back and talk to your boy, and we can chat it up. And there's plenty I haven't done already. So I'm looking forward to that next summer adventure here in Colorado.
Gotta love the Mile High City, Colorado, all of it for sure. Okay, well, I will be definitely be taking you up on that advice because we love Breckenridge too.
There you go.
I might give it a whirl because I just need a little bit later in the morning, like I did down in the Springs.
Pikes Peak?
No, the hike. What is it?
Well, it's only
stairs.
The bar, the incline.
The incline. Thank you. Did that, but I needed to start at like 9 a.m. in the morning, and I still.
Well, the Manitou incline you can do more or less any time of day. The big question is, do you have the huevos who actually go to the top? The Manitou incline cuts short the bar trail by a couple miles. So the bar trail winds like this for like 4 miles until you basically get to the top of the incline. So the incline like cuts it in half. So the bar trail goes like this, but the incline just goes like that. So you can, like, when we did the incline, me and my wife, we actually went down the bar trail. We didn't want to go bum all the way down. But I'll tell you this, that's only at the 4 mile mark. And you still have another 2.5, 3 miles to bar camp. And then you have another 7 miles to the top of Pikes Peak. So the Pikes Peak is a very easy climb. It's just a goat path all the way up. There's nothing complicated or inherently dangerous. It is just extremely long. I mean, it is a long, long day. I'm proud to say I have done the whole thing top to bottom in less than a day. I climbed up starting at like 3 o'clock in the morning, got up there by 9 a.m., came down, and then I at the top there's a donut shop. So if you go to the top of Pikes Peak, there's tourists.
Yeah.
So you go up there and you're all grizzly. You got all your gear because you just did that, and you sit there and there's like some fat tourist from Iowa or something just sitting there with a donut and a coffee, and it was one of the more rewarding. I mean, they're looking at you like you're a lunatic because they just drove up, or they used to take the Cog Railroad. I don't think that works anymore, but they got by a bus, a tour bus, because you can just drive right up there. So the funniest thing is to be in all your gear, right? Because you just earned it, and you're sitting there with somebody like they got a large cat on their T-shirt, and it's tucked in with a belt, and the belly's hanging out, and they're ordering their donut, and they look at you like you're a lunatic. And it's like, hey, what's up there, Clem? And then the greatest one is that people are, sitting there taking pictures, and you just walk off. Like, just their expressions are just like, I'm sorry, where are you going? As you just walk down the trail. So there's all sorts of satisfying moments there with the much trail
to do in Colorado. And I wonder if Sean Payton is going to do anything, or if it's strictly going to be football this summer for him. We learned my biggest takeaway yesterday from his press conference is Sean Payton is a man of few words with a lot of information. That was my biggest takeaway, is that he doesn't speak a lot, but you can get a lot out of what he's talking about. What was your biggest takeaway?
I think Sean Payton is Sean Payton.
Yep.
Sean Payton is Sean Payton. So Sean Payton is Sean Payton. About Sean Payton being Sean Payton.
Let's just go to my favorite clip from the press conference yesterday. Take a listen.
Policy at the Saints, and I just carried it here. So that's everyone's been affected about in this side of the building with the way we're doing things. And look, you guys got the rookies for an open locker room, and then I took away your little Twitter post during practice. So call it even.
Speaking of the rookies,
little Twitter post during practice. Oh, okay, coach.
I asked him that question, Rachel.
You did. You had the best questions. Yet again, at every single press conference, you always have the best one, no matter who it is taking it.
Well, they have changed things massively. Now, there's a couple ways to look at it, and I've seen responses to it. So it's extreme. It's like you can't have your phone out like at all. So never mind little tweets about what's happening. It's like, don't have it, can't tweet anything. I mean, like absolutely nothing until you talk to Sean Payton. Now, The rule is no pictures, no videos until after practice. So if you noticed yesterday, there were no photos, no videos, no nothing until practice was actually over. And then if you follow a variety of people on at least Twitter, it was like a barrage of information. Like, whoa, your phone would have exploded because everybody's posting at the same time. There's a couple ways to look at this. One, hey, man, it's the Broncos. They can do whatever they want. They're not breaking any NFL rules. They want to control their own narrative and information, and they're well within their rights, according to the NFL, to do it. The other is kind of this odd withholding of information that is only really consumed by the public. The purpose for the media in terms of a team is to really get information out there in a compelling way for the public consumption.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's not a question of are they within their rights? They clearly are. But why? I mean, why so strict? And seriously, with Sean Payton, why the attitude there? And to think that, giving us access to the locker room to talk to rookies is quid pro quo for doling out information when the whole team is there, of course, is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And it's also like the tone in which Sean Payton did that. Listen, Rachel, the enemy is not the muggles in the media. The muggles in the media have been keeping it real about this team. And frankly, if you don't like it, do something about it. So everybody gets the benefit of the doubt when the season starts anew. But Sean Payton has definitely shown I would say, a feisty attitude towards the media for no reason. I mean, no reason for him. The vast majority of coverage on Sean Payton has been extremely favorable. Everybody's only had positive things about the Broncos so far in the postseason. I haven't found many people who are critical at all. So I actually don't quite get it. I'm not sure what his point is or what he's trying to establish other than control. And when he points to the building, it's like, well, I'm controlling everything back here, and now I need to control everything out here. And you and your little Twitter posts. And by the way, when you stick the word little in front of anything, it's demeaning. It's saying less than little Twitter posts. And a lot of the Twitter posts are done by really good journalists who have been doing this stuff for a long, long time. In Denver, Colorado, covering the Broncos, it's not a collection of, hacks and, bloggers living in their mom's basement. They're some of the best sports journalists in the country. So, okay, Sean, I mean, you want to sort of pick these weird little fights right off the bat? Okay, cool. But I'm telling you, Rachel, all we want to do, essentially, especially at this time of the year, is tell good stories. Seriously.
No, and that's 100% true. And I'm actually curious, Coffee Break fam, put in the comments if you feel like if the lack of availability and the lack of information you're getting out is, I don't want to know if I want to use the word concerned, but you feel like you're not as connected to this team. Or I saw a comment yesterday who's like, I actually like it because the suspense is growing for the season. So please let us know in the comments, because we're the media, so we want all the information we can so we can give it to you guys, but does it actually affect you? And that's my question. But James Marilat said it right when Sean Payton kind of came in, and he said, if you don't win games right off the bat, they're going to be so harsh on you because you didn't give them any information ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like out to get Sean Payton. I'm not out to get Sean. I'll just leave it there. I'm not out to get him whatsoever. Yep. But everybody just needs to understand, this isn't just like, oh, Nathaniel Hackett had this and it was out of control. That's not the case at all. What happened yesterday was unusual ever. I mean, when the Broncos were winning Super Bowls with Peyton Manning, with John Fox and Gary Kubiak, there wasn't this sort of restriction of access and information. It wasn't like that at all. So yeah, okay, some of the downtimes and some things were loose. Listen, what are we talking about, Rachel? I mean, we're talking about like, can we? And by the way, I've been told during training camp it's going to be different. But because you can't stop the crowd, and fans have to be invited to a certain amount of training camp days, so things will change during training camp. So it is a little quirky. Like, if things are going to be different during training camp, then why are they different now when we can also watch? I actually really don't know.
Mhm.
But this is an attempt by Sean Payton to control the narrative that he wants to control. But
Yep.
again, when he does this, in my opinion, it becomes all about Sean Payton. So
Mhm.
there's one way to turn the spotlight on yourself, and Sean Payton knows how to do that. So, okay, Sean Payton, we're
Yeah.
talking about Sean Payton.
Those
Sean
little
Payton.
Twitter posts, man. How rude. Javonte Williams, though, was back out there and he was on a limited amount of work, correct?
Yeah. I mean, they were going, they were having a real football practice for
Yeah.
sure. But his participation is he's there, but see now I'm trying to figure out what I can say and what I can't say.
And
Now I'm
that's
walking
kind
on
of the hard
eggshells a little
part.
bit. Yeah,
No,
I'm not really sure. I mean, he was asked about Javonte Williams, so I feel like I can talk about him. There's not a lot to say. He's on a rehab process, and he is there, and we'll see where it goes. It's uncertain for sure exactly what happens with Javonte, but it's good to see him out there.
Another thing we know is that they're going to continue looking. Like we could possibly see some more people get signed.
Yeah, that's Sean Payton insinuated that as well because he was asked about Brandon McManus and he said, well, we did certain things that gives us flexibility to do other things. It's pretty clear that wherever the Broncos go with kicker will be low budget, whether it's a veteran or a young guy. There was an interesting twist yesterday. So the Broncos cut McManus and then the Patterson, who was the kicker for the Jags, was cut for McManus. Well, Patterson was signed like that by the Lions, and there was some thought that he could be signed by the Broncos. So you got to see what's going on here, Rachel. Here's a guy with the Jaguars who was so valuable that it took him minutes to get signed by somebody else, and the Jaguars cut him, somebody who got signed by somebody else quick, to sign Brandon McManus very quickly.
Yeah.
So it shows you, I saw a lot of people rip on Brandon McManus for having an off year, but this is the NFL telling you how valuable they think Brandon McManus is. So this is a quirky one, Rachel. We're going bargain basement kicker, and that just, okay, Sean, let's see what you got.
I feel like okay, Sean is going to be like a tagline that we're going to have all season because we're going to be like, okay, Sean, what's going to happen next?
Well, I mean, it's kind of been an okay, Sean sort of off season.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you want to move up they moved up to get two guys. Okay, Sean, Marvin Mims and Riley Moss. Okay. You didn't want to do a camp when you could have done a camp for conditioning and weightlifting. Okay, Sean, you want to restrict all the media access. Okay, Sean, we're spending big money on offensive linemen, which I like.
Yeah.
Okay, Sean, everything is okay, Sean. He's allowed, and nobody should really question it because there hasn't been anything negative that's happened. But it's really seriously like, okay, Sean, okay, all right, let's see.
I just saw this comment. Have you talked to New Orleans media about this? I'm actually trying to get a guest next week from somebody that has talked or that covered Sean Payton here on Coffee Break. But as to no surprise, it is actually a little bit harder than we anticipated having people come on and talk about their experience with Sean Payton. Going back to, okay, Sean.
Okay, Sean. Well, let me tell you the difference between the Denver media. Now, I know a lot of people in the national media when it comes to basketball want to paint this as like a cow town. And maybe with basketball, in terms of the media coverage, Rachel, they may have a point. I mean, it was me and like the same 5 people for every single Nuggets game. There was actually a larger contingent to cover the Avalanche on a regular basis than the Nuggets. Of course, it's overwhelming now with the Nuggets. I mean, it's, through the roof.
Crazy.
But even on a boring day for the Broncos, when they are at rock bottom, there are still a ton of local media. In fact, the Denver Broncos get more media coverage than virtually any other NFL team in the country. It really is like that. So whatever we are with the other sports, for the NFL, because our market isn't just Denver. The market for the Broncos goes up and down the entire Mountain Time Zone into Canada. So you frequently get reporters from Wyoming or Nebraska, but certainly Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Grand Junction, and then the regulars who are there all the time. Now, it's not the same as when they're really good and there's, NFL Network and ESPN and this, that, the other thing. It's not quite like that. But even on a bad Broncos team, the coverage for the team is through the roof. So it's incredibly different, wildly different than in New Orleans, where it's probably seriously like 4 or 5 of the same people time after time. And that's what Sean's dealt with for his entire career, is more or less media like that as a head coach. Much different here. Much different here. It's just not the same. And not everybody is running around trying to be Sean Payton's best friend. Yeah. Not rooting against him. Absolutely not rooting against him. But, you got questions. You have reasonable doubts about things. And okay, Sean, let's see it. But I'm not rooting against him. Kubiak and Shanahan had very strict rules too about things. Nobody was like Fox. Fox was the best. Fox would come over and be friendly with you and talk with you. And he got the Broncos to a Super Bowl too. So there's a variety of ways to do it. But this one is, okay, Sean.
Okay, Sean, I would love to hear what Tim Patrick looks like out there and, how he's doing. Because you're right. I don't know what exactly we can talk about from what was seen actually on the field. But Tim Patrick was out there. Did he look nice and tall and large?
Yeah, I mean, he's not doing a lot of stuff either. The guys that were healthy and available were running around like a regular football practice. But those, including Tim Patrick, who are coming back from some sort of injury, it's stupid to get them, full go. So it's nothing like that for those type of guys. But, he's out there. Garrett Bowles is out there. I think, actually, Garrett Bowles looks pretty damn good. Like, Garrett Bowles, I think he may be just good to go, period, right now, which is great news.
Love to hear it. Let's talk about Russell Wilson, because he's looking lean and mean, correct?
That's how he described himself, as lean and mean. And Mike Kliss asked him specifically about the weight. And Russell's like, I don't think I want to get into that. And you know what? That's fine. It's beyond obvious that Russell Wilson is leaner and
Is he meaner?
What's that?
Is he meaner? Is he getting some of the okay, Sean?
I think, listen, I'll say this. Everything Sean Payton said in terms of extra stuff for Russ going away appears to have gone away. So there does not appear to be extra stuff. Russell settled into a lot of his cliche sort of answers. He did, but it didn't kind of drag on so long. It was kind of quicker. It was more to the point. It was a little bit more direct. It wasn't quite the same. And, no let's ride after the press conference. The only thing you got from Russell Wilson is, as he was walking off the podium, Troy Rank asked him if he was going to go to some Nuggets games in the NBA Finals. And he said, oh, yeah, go Nuggets. But that was a very, joking, organic, not a calculated thing. So the extras with Russ, see ya. The let's ride stuff, bye-bye. And just a little bit more concise and, but he's still into the cliches. And you really, it's like, yep, without really saying a whole lot of stuff. So that hasn't necessarily changed. I wish we could get real answers. Like, I asked him what are the most significant changes that he's made. And, it was just, he really didn't answer the question. I would have loved to hear, listen, here's what I did. First of all, my diet had to be this, so I did this. Also, I reduced my travel so I could do this. And I did realize that this workout, it would be awesome to get some real details about it. But he just doesn't want to share that. And because he doesn't really want to share those type of real things, there's always a disconnect with Russell Wilson. I mean, if I was advising Russell Wilson in his camp, it's like, it's okay to have a few real moments. It's okay to admit that this wasn't acceptable, or I was down about this, and it's okay to give us a couple of examples from your life. And, he really just doesn't want to do that. He doesn't.
The tweets are still here, though. We've got this one. Stay encouraged. This came only 3 days ago. Stay encouraged. I don't think those tweets will ever go away.
No, he can't help himself. He's got one or two of those a day. Listen, man, it's like that is a positive message, okay? But with Russ, Rachel, it's like it's a bumper sticker every day. And when it's a bumper sticker every day, that's not a real person, okay? It's not. That's
you know what though? He's got 83,000 views on that tweet, so I'll give it to him. And he probably has even more now.
All right, hey, listen, Russ. Hey, I'm not rooting against OK Sean, and I'm not rooting against Lean Mean Russ. I'm not rooting against both those guys. So listen, if Russ gets something out of that, then cool. I mean, that's fine. It's no big deal. But if other people do find a sense of inspiration through his inspirational daily affirmations, then okay, cool. Whatever. But for me, it just wears. There's nothing to it. It's the boy that cried wolf. It's like, but other people dig it. So, whatever. Whatever. It's cool. It's all good. It's all good.
So we've got the Lean Mean Russ. Okay, Sean, was there any other big takeaways for you from yesterday from what we heard? We heard from Zach Allen. We heard from McGlinchey, correct? And anybody else?
Zach Allen is like a doorknob personality. You only turn it when you need to. It's okay, but that's not an insult. That's not. It just means he's a guy that's more reticent, and that's fine though. No big deal. No big deal.
Okay.
Careful here. And Mike McGlinchey is a mayor. Mike McGlinchey is the mayor of offensive linedom, and it looks like he's taken the office that Dalton Reisner left open. So McGlinchey, he's a Notre Dame guy. All these Notre Dame guys are, annoyingly the same. They're all super talented. They're all really smart. They're all going to be very successful at something else besides football. I mean, David Bruton is like a PhD in something. Ryan Harris is like one of the smartest guys I know, doing a million different things. And McGlinchey is kind of cut from that cloth. So, that's a Notre Dame guy. He's a Notre Dame guy. Kind of speaks for itself. So what did we learn? And we learned the size of Mike McGlinchey. I mean, we've heard all about it. But that gets your attention. I mean, he is a big dude. Bowles is a big guy. Powers, am I right?
Ben Powers.
Powers is the new guy, big guy. Then you got the Belly and Cush. You have a huge offensive line. Yeah. And then they signed Cam Fleming to be their swing tackle. So I'll tell you what, man, in terms of the offensive line, like on paper, yeah. I mean, like, whoa. So you can see an offense that's going to be very dedicated to running the ball, that's also athletic. The only quirky thing, Rach, about how the size of the offensive line, okay? Russell Wilson's the shortest quarterback on the team. He's a shorter quarterback just, in general. Yep. And one of the problems that Russell Wilson does have, and this is not telling tales, is throwing from the pocket. And it's tricky. And the line just got bigger, not smaller, bigger. So, and if you remember, Russ had a hard time from the pocket throwing to his right last year. Yeah. That's where passes got deflected and intercepted and all sorts of problems. Well, you just got bigger over on that side with Mike McGlinchey. Okay. So I think they're going to have to be creative. I think they're going to have to move the pocket with Russell Wilson, which again is not breaking news. It was just, evident, about size, which is, again, not a news flash when you can look on paper and see how big everybody is. But when you see it in person, it's like, okay, I get it. This is a challenge. This is something you got to be creative with. It's not killer. There's other short, smaller quarterbacks in the NFL that are successful. And certainly Sean Payton was incredibly successful with Drew Brees. You just got to get creative about it.
That's actually a really good point that I hadn't even thought of, because every single time we were like, oh, they're bulking up the offensive line. They're bulking up the offensive line. This is great. But you're right. It did get bigger for Russell Wilson, who's not a huge quarterback in the league and who did struggle to that side last year. That's a really good point, and it'll be something very interesting to pay attention to in the first couple of weeks of the season. That's DMAC. Great reporting, my friend. Even when you can't tell us what you saw out there, great job. That A+ for the day.
I aim to serve. in terms of my minimal amounts of reporting. I'm frustrated by one thing. There was something that happened in practice that was kind of an interesting moment to talk about, but nobody asked Sean Payton about it. So I would be breaking the rules by talking about it even now. So I'll stay away from it. But I will tell you, because of that moment, I did talk to a few other muggles, and we have devised just a different strategy to approach things, which is definitely different from in the past. And that is to really just flat out ask Sean Payton about the big plays of practice, like right off the bat. Even if you have to ask 2 or 3 questions all in one. It's like, well, hey, Sean, I noticed that play A happened, and also there was play B, and player C was involved with something. What did you think of those moments? And if you just sort of, check, well, okay, even if he says nothing, I mean, if he makes no comment on it, but he just acknowledges that it happened, then it sort of, sets it. But these are kind of weird little games to play that we haven't really had to before. And it's one thing like, oh, okay, we can't talk about it like as it's happening. It's a weird vibe right now for me to hold back on something typically we could talk about, the day after. But okay, I'm trying to be a good boy here. I am trying to be a rule follower. I'm trying, and I won't try to break the rules. I respect the process, and Sean Payton can set up how he wants to do things however he pleases. And you know what, Rachel? He deserves the right to do that based on the lack of success the Broncos have had. So a lot of things have to be radically different. And if this is one of them, fine. The bottom line, like you said about James, win. And just like Michael Malone with the Nuggets, you can question Jared Bednar or Michael Malone, but once they win, I mean, who are we to question them when they win? I mean, it's silly to say, well, they didn't win the way I wanted them to win. I mean, that's dumb on our part.
See, I'm even a part of the Muggles, and I have so many questions that I want answered. So I feel for Broncos country a little bit. And I know some of you are like, no, it's fine. Like, all that matters at the end of the day is that they win. But I want to hear these big storylines that are coming out. So last question for you on this, DMAC, real quick is, what can you tell us about Jarrett Stidham? You're not paying a quarterback that much money to just sit around.
There's really not much to tell. No big observations about Stidham. Listen, the year goes well. We never even see Jarrett Stidham. Brett Rippon did start 2 games for the Broncos last year. So you've got to have a backup quarterback that's, can be in the mix. But to me, the first time that we'll seriously talk about Jarrett Stidham, and I hope it never happens, but it would be if something bad were happened to Russell Wilson. So let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope that doesn't happen. And this team is clearly Russell Wilson's. So, I mean, we can talk about Jarrett Stidham, I suppose, if we wanted to, but there's no real point. What I think is going to happen here, Rachel, is this is going to build quite a bit of suspense leading up to training camp. So, okay, fine. Training camp's going to start in late August. And if everybody could just hang in there for Broncos information, you can clearly focus on the Nuggets for the next couple of weeks. No problem there, right? And, take a good summer vacation. Go climb a mountain. Go hang out with Rachel someplace. Go, leave
meet me on the lake.
Meet Rachel paddleboarding. Get out the paddleboard there with Rach.
True. I want to go into the Eastern Conference Finals, but I realized I have a typo on our graphic here, DMAC. I know. I said the Celtics forced a game 5. No, they won game 5. They forced a game 6. But obviously we get excited for it. They beat the Heat 110-97 in game 5. Head back to Miami for 6. Just excuse my typo on that one, everybody. How are you feeling about the Eastern Conference Finals? Because I thought Miami was just going to be done with it. They were going to get the same amount of rest. But now we're obviously seeing more and more games. And I told you this before the show even started. When I feel like the biggest storyline is one thing, I feel like history always is like, you know what? Let's change it. And the biggest storyline right now is that a team has never come back and won 0-3. And so I'm like, you know what? It's going to happen. The Celtics are going to do it. I'm just calling it right now. And I know everyone's picking the Heat for tonight, but I'm like, it's probably going to happen.
So do you believe streaks are meant to be broken?
Yes.
Well,
I think eventually somebody will do it.
Eventually every streak will be broken.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you go to, well, how many times has the road team won the first 2 games? 13 out of those 150 times. That's it. 13 out of 150. Okay. So what are the best odds for this streak to be broken? Well, certainly you would think it would be for the road team to start hot and then lose it, because games 5 and 7 are back at home for the team that's starting to bounce back. Okay, you got that too. And then you would logically say, well, what's the disparity ranking wise between, the one team, the road team, and the home team? Is it just like, 2 versus 3 or 2 versus 1, or is it 8 versus 2? So in this case, and there was an injury to Gabe Vincent, one of the starters of the Heat. So Rachel, I cannot think of a time in this 150-0 sort of run where it's set up better for this streak. For this streak to be broken. How can it possibly be set up better for this streak to be broken than right here and right now? But it hasn't been broken, Rachel. And in this streak, it's only gone to game 7 3 times. That's it. 3 times.
Yep.
So you have a rarity already. Most of these streaks just end in a sweep. A lot more end in game 5. So game 6, it's like there's only 11 of these series that have gone really to, game 6. And in every one of those 13, where it's the road team beating the home team to start the series, every one of those 13 ended the latest in game 6. None of the 3 that went to 7 was the road team. So I'll tell you this, Rach. If this thing is going to end for the Heat, I think it's got to end in Miami, or the streak will be broken, because it will have never happened before already. You would have never got to a game 7 with the home team hosting it that was down 3-0. That's never happened either. So not only has the streak never been snapped, but they have never got to a game 7 with the better home team hosting game 7. How about that one? So either the Heat pull it off here in game 6, which odds would say they are. Odds say they are, or you probably will see something you've never seen before.
All right. I hate to change the subject, but we do have breaking news.
Go
So
for
we're
it.
going to go back a little bit to the Broncos. The Cardinals have just released DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Interesting.
How much was
DeAndre Hopkins?
I think DeAndre Hopkins was like making $20 million. So
yeah, he's the highest paid.
What was he really? So maybe even more than $20 million.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous for the Broncos. I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know.
You're not going to get DeAndre Hopkins for $20 million. I mean,
19 million cap figure.
Yeah, the Cardinals, it kills you after a while. That's why you got to manage your team. Golly, man. I mean, this is a weird time of year to do this. I don't know many teams that can sort of like just add DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what the budget situation is across the NFL. The Broncos certainly aren't set up to deal with this. I don't know how they could clear that space or how they could make room for him.
Because even if you got rid of Cortland Sutton, that opens. It wasn't a terrible amount of money. I can't even remember.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that you get rid of him, you don't necessarily lose his cap hit. So I'd have to look at it. This is where you get into the number crunching, stuff. And listen, I am not a capologist. I'm not an expert on this stuff at all. So there's much smarter people out there than me on this. So I don't know. Okay. I wouldn't think there's a way to add DeAndre Hopkins, but obviously DeAndre Hopkins is a phenomenal talent. But Rachel, they're gonna be a run the ball first sort of team. They are. They invested big money in their offensive line. That I'd rather see, if they've got extra money to spend, in all honesty, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. I'd rather see them go in that direction.
But you say that. I think that they also invested, though, so that it could hopefully, one, give Russell Wilson a little bit more time as well in the pocket. And he's obviously not the same quarterback he was. He's getting a little bit older. People don't come at me when I say he's getting a little bit older. He can still play, but he can't move as fast as he used to.
If I had to bet where DeAndre Hopkins will end up, it's like Cincinnati. It would be Jacksonville. It would be some San Diego, the Chargers, Los Angeles, sorry. It'd be somewhere where the quarterback on the team is really super talented and is on a rookie deal, because likely they have the money to make this happen. So this takes out teams like, the Broncos or the Chiefs or the Bills or the Jets or, sort of teams like that have very high priced, quarterbacks. So,
are you shocked that Von Miller has sent eyes?
I could see a team like the Patriots making a run at DeAndre Hopkins, something like that.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Von Miller, of course, has already sent the eyes emoji, linking him to the Bills. I feel like the Bills are always in the conversation. When some big star gets released, you always hear
Well, hey, listen, when you become a free agent like DeAndre Hopkins, then you just ask yourself other interesting questions. Like, what is this all about? Do you have enough money? Do you want to just go win? It's an opportunity where he can choose where he wants to go. I mean, I would say every single team in the NFL would be interested in him at a certain price. So, sure, that gives a lot of power to a team like the Bills, or frankly, any great team. And it's a big if, DeAndre Hopkins just wants to, play for a lesser amount of money. And if he wants to play for a lesser amount of money, well, shoot. I mean, he can go anywhere. Listen, if he wanted to play for a lesser amount of money, I'm sure the Broncos would be able to figure that out. I'm sure every team in the NFL would be able to figure it out if it's a lesser amount of money. But why would he want to come to Denver when he could go to Buffalo and contend for a championship or Kansas City, or I don't know, anywhere where they've got a great shot to win right now? I mean, why would he want to go anywhere else?
I don't know. I love this.
That sets up the perfect combination for him. Would be Chargers with Herbert, Cincinnati with Burrow, Jacksonville with Lawrence, where he could do both.
Yeah. Good morning to Cecil Lammy. He just texted me and said Stephon Diggs is a bit unhappy, ... Well, good point, Cecil. Good point.
That's wild, though, because the combination of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs has been crazy good. But, DeAndre Hopkins is an incredible talent as well. Yeah, maybe. I mean, hey, Rachel, this is what happens when you whiff on a brilliant young quarterback. There's guys like to go where guys have great quarterbacks and chances to win, kind of the end. George Karl said that a big factor in him coming to the Nuggets all those years ago was because they had Carmelo Anthony. Yeah. I mean, look at how many great free agents the Broncos got because they had Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean here, but how many guys want to come to the Broncos because they have Russell Wilson? McGlinchey is here, Rachel, because he got a boatload of money. All right. He's like you realize McGlinchey is the highest paid offensive lineman in Broncos history, number one. Yep. And the Broncos just overwhelmed him. It really had nothing to do with Russell Wilson. It had to do with the Brinks truck that was at his back door.
Yep. No, I mean, that's true. And DeAndre just doesn't make any sense for the Broncos, but it also is interesting. It seems like the Cardinals are just blowing everything up. They're like, let's just blow everything and start over, start fresh, and see where they can go.
Well, I think they're a disaster. Yeah, I think Kyler Murray I think there were red flags on Kyler Murray from the get-go. He is a lot better than I thought he was going to be. A lot. But,
a great quarterback that lacks maturity.
Yeah. And I was going to say, what we've learned from the Nuggets is that next step.
Yeah.
And the dedication to your craft and what it really takes in terms of sacrifice and selflessness to win. And I'm not sure that Kyler Murray really fits that right now. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm with you. I think what's the quote? It's like talent doesn't beat hard work or whatever it is. I can't think of the exact quote, but I think that's also true. I think Kyler Murray is extremely talented as a quarterback, but if you don't work hard at your craft, you'll get
talent. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Another A+ for you today, D-Mac. Great job. But that's the truth. That's what when I think of Kyler Murray, I think of that quote because he's extremely talented. But if you don't work hard, you're never going to improve in your craft, and others will eventually pass you. And that's the truth. That's for everybody too, not just quarterbacks in the NFL by any means.
That certainly applies to you, Rachel.
Oh, okay. Well, I work hard every single day.
And you're talented. You're the best. That's the best.
Thank you. Okay, I do want to give back. Let's talk a little bit of basketball because, of course, the Nuggets are in the NBA Finals. It's exciting. But I feel a little bad actually putting this up on the screen because, of course, everybody's talking about the Lakers and LeBron. But I think it's news. LeBron was playing with a torn tendon in his foot for the last series, for the Western Conference Series. And, of course, for the rest of the season, I guess I should say. I don't know when the actual injury occurred. But it does have an impact, I feel like, a little bit on how people were looking at LeBron and saying, oh, he's done. He can't do it. He still put up incredible numbers, and he was playing with a torn tendon. So I will hat off to LeBron James for doing that, and still putting up those numbers. But I'm happy the Nuggets obviously advance.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for LeBron James. I don't know how you can't. I think it's remarkable what happened with him and the Lakers this year to get as far as they went. A lot of people that pay attention said over and over, okay, great for the Lakers, but the Nuggets are just a clearly better team, and we were proven right. And I was proven wrong because I just thought the Nuggets would win in 5 games, not get a sweep. Yeah. So, I was slightly wrong in sort of the other direction. But that being said, I understand why LeBron James, rightfully so, is big news. I mean, I do get that. I understand why people talk about him. And it's okay to talk about people who are big news and drive ratings. That's all right. But you don't have to, and this is what Malone said, and Jokic said too, you don't have to belittle somebody to talk about somebody else. Yeah. You can say and give flowers to the Nuggets, probably first because they did win, and then sort of, get into the other storylines of the people that lost and the stars that we all, know and care about. Mm-hmm. And so but that's not what happened here with the Nuggets. For a lot of people, it was like, well, let's focus on the Lakers, and the Nuggets aren't a big deal because of X, Y, and Z, or they got lucky because of this, or they didn't deserve to win because LeBron was hurt, or they're not interesting, or all these garbage narratives, which are just that. They're garbage narratives because they're just untrue, and it's very, very lazy, okay? Yeah. So I can say, hey, I'm interested in what LeBron's going through and what his surgery is, and will he come back? I can say that, and at the same time, I can say, wow, look at this really compelling, interesting Nuggets team that's seemingly doing everything the right way, who has led the Western Conference since December and has never looked back, and is now 12-3 in the playoffs, getting a sweep for the first time in their franchise history, and an entrance into the NBA Finals where undoubtedly they'll be a favorite against the Celtics or the Heat. Yeah. Like, Rachel, you can do both. You don't have to put somebody down, and you certainly shouldn't make excuses about why you simply didn't do your job. So when I hear guys like Mike Greenberg go on about, like, well, what do you want me to do? And I have a pulse of the list viewership and this, that, the other thing. It's like, hey, man, let's face it, dude. You were just lazy about it. It was easier for you to not pay attention than to pay attention. And you didn't hear that from Jay Williams or JJ Redick or Charles Barkley. There are other guys that could do both. So, hey, Chris Mannix and Mike Greenberg and Lisa Salters, like, there was a way to do both. You didn't have to forget one thing to focus on something else. And you making excuses at this point? I mean, give me a break. Keyshawn Johnson said the whole thing was a bit. Oh, okay. It was a bit. Great bit. Yeah.
Because we know how many talent in national media actually listen to all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm sure it was a bit for sure.
Listen, Rachel, they got caught flat-footed.
Yes,
They
they did.
didn't see it coming, and they just didn't dig into it. And I don't know why. I have no idea why folks that really are supposed to focus on the NBA would not focus on a team in first place that has a 2-time defending MVP. It's confounding.
It's because they didn't believe that they could actually do it. D-Mac, you and I both know that when it could be a player, it can be a big game. You spend a little bit of extra time diving into the stats or different storylines that come with it. If people actually believed that the Nuggets could pull it off, they would have spent a little bit more time. But I don't think anybody actually did.
Yeah, and it was convenient to not pay attention. The Nuggets were only on national TV 16 times, and that might sound like a lot, but it wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was one of the least amount of times, and it certainly doesn't fit a team that has a 2-time defending MVP.
Nope.
I mean, if LeBron James, the Lakers are going to be on national TV for almost half their games anyways. Yeah. 16 times for the Nuggets. There's a reason why they didn't get the attention nationally, is because people weren't watching them. We were watching every movement, but a lot of people around the country, as we're finding out, weren't, and now they're making up lame excuses why that was okay. I'm sorry, it's not okay. It's simply a lame excuse. So whatever, it's not like the competition was less than this year. It was as hard as ever. It's not like there's talent not out there. There's a lot of talent. You got to give the Nuggets the props for keeping a team together, doing contracts the right way, building around a superstar, training the right way, and then Calvin Booth as a GM for acquiring key acquisitions like KCP and Bruce Brown. You got to just start there. They did things the right way, and doing things the right way isn't boring, Rachel. It's not.
Oh, the national media coverage. This conversation will continue.
I don't know about you, but I'm sick of talking about it, to be honest with you.
I'm with you.
It seems like something new springs up every day. I mean, I'm over it. When Chris Mannix is like, there's nothing interesting, I list out like 23 bullet points. And by the way, that tweet that's got like over 2,100 likes on Twitter, something like that, that's a lot for me. Something like that. Rachel, I put that together in like 5 minutes sitting in bed when I just rolled over and looked at my phone. That took me less than 5 minutes to put together. If I really sat down and thought about it, I could probably find another 30 or 40 compelling things about the Nuggets.
What's your favorite storyline from the Nuggets? You had a ton of great ones, but I'm curious your favorite.
The father-son mascot tandem.
Oh my gosh.
They passed the Rocky costume over to the son. The son hurt himself during the season. The father came back into the Rocky costume to take it over for the rest of the year. That and Jamal Murray is the comeback player of the year.
No, for sure. I'm excited.
But it's
I'm ready for
close
next
with those
week.
two.
Okay, it's Friday, which means it's Ask Us Anything. Drop any question you have in the comment. We love doing these, but I saw this comment, and this was actually one of the things that popped out to me first. Will the Nuggets be the favorite against the Celtics? If the Celtics come back, D-Mac, you still think the Nuggets will be the favorite?
Oh, yeah. Yes. The Nuggets will be the favorite. It won't be overwhelming, but they'll still be the favorite, yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they will. I still don't think that they have the respect, and for a Celtics team that would be riding so hot, that would be so hot going into the NBA Finals, and then the people are going to come back and say, well, the break, look at how long the Nuggets haven't played. The Celtics, they're just rolling through all these things. I would actually be very surprised. Maybe I'm thinking too more of like the fan and the media favorites, less of like the betting favorites too, but I would be very surprised if they were.
The Celtics, if they do it, are going to be absolutely exhausted. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to take everything they have. And there's no they don't have anybody to defend Jokic. They don't. Yeah. Tatum is a great player, but they are wildly inconsistent, Rachel. They have been wildly inconsistent. They're all over the place. So there's nothing about there's really nothing about the Celtics that scares me. And they have a very young, inexperienced head coach compared to Michael Malone. The moment's going to be gargantuan for them. They would have accomplished something nobody's done, and it would have taken every fiber of their soul to get there. The Nuggets are having fun playing horse, and Bruce Brown has so much time, he's going to Rockies games. And by the way, the Nuggets for the past couple of days have sort of just been doing some conditioning, light work, just little stuff. They will have a practice today, and we will hear from them. They could not possibly be in a better position. And they don't care about the outside noise. And going into the Boston Garden is not that big of a deal. I welcome it, because if you can get that, especially that first game, if you can get that first win on the road, and nobody's been able to beat the Nuggets at home, nobody. So let's just have a little fun with it. They win the first game, they lose the second. They're home for 2. They win both of those. They're up 3-1. All right, go lose in Boston. Who cares? Now you've lost game 5. All right. And now you're unbeatable and you can win the championship here at home. So you tell me, do you think the Nuggets can win a game in Boston?
Yes.
Me too. I think they can win in one and probably win one relatively easily. They just won 2 games in LA. They destroyed the Suns in Phoenix in a game 6. They beat, Minnesota on the road. It did go 5 games, and they didn't care about game 4. But they did that. They're not afraid. And by the way, I don't know if you knew this. The Celtics are 4-5. 4-5 at home during the playoffs. This playoff run, 4-5.
That's crazy.
Afraid of the Nuggets in Boston? I mean, was Paul Revere afraid of the Redcoats?
I love it. I love it. Okay, I love this other question too. And good morning to my friend Grant. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Coffee Break. Who gets a warmer reception at the finals game, Russ or Melo?
That's a good question. I don't think they Melo. Melo, because if Melo's there, they will feature him. Russ has gone to multiple playoff games and they haven't really featured him. They haven't really. He's been casually up there. No. I think people would be shocked and surprised what a kind reception Melo would get.
True.
I hope that happens too, by the way.
I do not think that they will show Russ on the big screen. I think if they would have, yeah, exactly. Keep the questions coming. I love seeing them. I'm trying to go back to the beginning of the show because I know there were a couple people who asked. Let's see. Oh, someone said do not want to go to Boston. Rachel and DMAC, did you get your Nuggets NBA Finals hat and shirt? No, I haven't gotten any merch. I feel like I need to.
Listen, I don't have any problems with people buying up gear.
Okay.
I don't have any problems with it. Go for it. I am absolutely hoping that the Nuggets win. But in my life doing this job, I just have never bought any team gear ever. Period. The only team gear I've ever bought are teams that my sons are on. And even for my last son, the last stop, I wasn't buying anything from them. But I will certainly be happy to buy wherever he goes next. I just don't do that. That's just not me.
The first one, the first championship, DMAC. You're telling me you wouldn't. The first is different than the third or fourth.
Let me tell you, my wife does. My kids have, especially my older son. I just, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anybody or whatever, but I do draw a line between being a fan and trying to be some form of journalist. And I'm not going to buy something I'm seriously not going to wear. Now, that doesn't mean people haven't given me things over the years. I've been given stuff, right? So
perfect example.
There you go. So,
although I'm pretty sure, were you the one who was stealing hockey pucks?
No, the exact opposite.
Hockey pucks?
The exact opposite. I got a stray puck at a morning skate and I gave it back. But what you're thinking about was the woman who's part of the ice crew in Tampa who gave me a puck. Yeah. She gave me a puck during the finals, and I accepted that as a kind gift. Okay. So, but no, I was not. I took pride that I did not steal that stray puck that I could have easily stuck in my pocket. And it did have the logo. Hey, even the practice pucks had Stanley Cup finals and the teams and, gave it right back, Rachel. Man of my word on that, I swear.
You're better than me.
The puck, Rachel, the puck that I did get from that very kind woman on the Tampa Bay Ice Crew, I gave to my son as a gift because it certainly would mean more to him than to me. So there you go. But that doesn't stop my wife. My wife has a lot of her own gear. It's hockey and Bronco. No, she's got Rocky stuff too. She just doesn't like basketball. She's never liked basketball. She's never been into it. She wasn't into basketball when we went to Syracuse, when there was nothing else to do. So she's consistent. I love her, but she doesn't care.
Okay. We're going to do some quick yes or no answers for these ones. Will Nikola average a triple-double in the finals?
Yes. No way to stop him.
Yes, agreed. No thoughts on Hopkins. Hope he doesn't go to KC. Just so you know, we did talk about DeAndre Hopkins getting released from the Cardinals earlier on the show. Definitely go listen. Does Christian Brown get another chance in the finals rotation?
Maybe if it's that's a tough one. Maybe.
I think if there's foul trouble, then yes, we could see Christian Brown go out there.
I don't think it's going to start out like that, but it depends on the matchups.
Yep.
So I think that's a big maybe.
Do you think Melo will show up for a finals game?
Only if invited.
Ooh, okay. Only if invited. I'll agree with you on that one. This show always goes by way too fast. D-Mac, huge shout out to you. It's already been an hour. To everybody in the comments, we absolutely love hanging out with you. We love all of your questions every Friday, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Hang out, have fun, and we'll see you guys Tuesday morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.